Hello, Albin.
Hello.
Oh, thank you for coming in this interview. So, as a person working on World Health Worries, I have a number of questions to ask you. So, global health seems to be in the news more and more in the recent years. Talk about what global health is and why it's important to pay attention to it.
Thank you very much. Global health is an area of study, research, and practices that is aimed to improve the health of people. So it is important because it helps in globalization, since it is done all over the world. Globalization increases. It also helps to know what people think or people's perceptions about diseases, and it even help people to get knowledge, to know how they will put into practices some findings or what they found during their studies. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the second question says that disease can come to us in different ways. Explain the difference between communicable and non-communicable diseases.
Thank you very much. Communicable diseases are those diseases that can be that someone can transfer to another one. Like when I'm suffering from a disease, and I can make you also be affected from that disease. That is what we call communicable disease. And non-communicable disease is that diseases that cannot be someone cannot be transferred from one person to another. I can give like an example. When someone is suffering from diabetes, that disease cannot be transferred from one person to another. But like flu or yeah, when we talk about flu, it can be transferred. That is why it is called communicable disease.
Okay, now let's talk about Ebola. Since I'm sure most of our viewers have heard a lot about that. So, what is it? Is it communicable or non-communicable? How do people get it?
Thank you very much. Ebola is a viral disease. Its causal agent is a virus, and it has some symptoms like fever, like vomiting, and even bleeding. So that disease is communicable, and people get it from like the secretions of someone who is already infected, such as feces or body fluids in general. And when someone is infected by Ebola and the body fluids of that person pass to another one, he or she can be infected. That's why it is called communicable disease.
Okay, thank you for the good response. Then, what would raise a person's risks of getting Ebola?
That's really an interesting question. When someone lives with someone else who is suffering from Ebola, can be at high risk of being infected, and even like nurses who works in hospital where there are some patients who are suffering from Ebola, also are at high risk of being infected by that disease.
Thank you. Then the first question says, so to prevent or at least lessen the chance of getting Ebola, what should people do?
People should isolate the patients who are suffering from Ebola, and even they should have some protecting. They should wear some protective things such as gloves or masks, so that they can limit the contact of those fluids or those substances which can lead to the person being infected from Ebola.
Okay, thank you. So outbreaks such as the one related to Ebola can generate a lot of rumors and misinformation and even panic about why the disease is. How is it transmitted and how likely people are to get it? Talk about the need for educating people about facts versus myths.
Okay, thank you very much. People need to be educated about facts versus myth, because facts are those ideas which are proven. When an idea has been proven, like when doctors have or people who work in laboratory have proven that Ebola is can be transmitted from one person to another through this way, That is a fact because it's proven. And a myth is an idea, just an idea without a proof. So people should be educated about that so that they cannot mistreat patients or mistreat others basing on the myth they have read, why those myths are not even proven and are not the truth. So people should be educated about myths and facts because of those reasons I come to say.
Okay, how about the complication that Ebola raises for the rights of travelers and the responsibility of the government? Kathy Hickox, for example, a nurse from Maine who returned to the States following a trip to West Africa in the fall of 2014, promptly had quarantine-related restrictions thrust upon her. Restrictions that she was very much against. She was very much against. Briefly described the difficulty of balancing individual rights and governmental responsibilities.
Thank you very much. For sure, balancing individual rights to the governmental responsibilities is very hard because, like, a government can be accomplishing its responsibility, but at the same time, people's rights are being violated. For instance, that example that you come to say, a person had the right of traveling, but since the government had a responsibility to limit the spread of Ebola, they limited her to work. So in that way, the government seems to be violating people's rights while it's obligation or it's their responsibility to limit the spread. In that case, people think that the government is not respecting the individual rights, while it's not the case, and it can even lead to the to some misunderstanding and to some bad understanding of how the government is being performing the actions at place.
Okay, now let's talk about smoking and the tobacco use, which is considered as a big health world problem and raises similar issues to Ebola in terms of rights and responsibilities. Just about everyone knows that smoking harms health. What does it do to the body?
Thank you very much. Smoking harms the body in different ways. For instance, it damages lungs and can cause lung cancer, and it can even make some difficulties for the women who smoke. They can get some complications during their pregnancy, and even they can fail to get pregnant, or they can give birth to children who are not at early time, like at 7 months or 6 months. Even this smoking can cause other complications like cardiac problems or heart diseases. Those are the main effects of smoking to the body.
Okay, thank you. What about secondhand smoke? Explain what it is and how it affects people.
Second-hand smoke is said when the smoke which is coming from someone else smoking is inhaled by a person who for sure does not smoke. But due to that smoke, the effects of smoking are the ones that will arise to the person who inhaled such polluted air. Like as I come to say, he or she can also get lung cancer. She can uh, get complications during pregnancy, as I said above. In few, the complications or the consequences of smoke to someone who smokes is the same like for the second-hand smokers, because it's the same smokes which are entering in people's respiratory system.
Thank you. So people don't typically think of tobacco as a drug like heroin or cocaine, but the addiction it creates is strong, isn't it?
Yes.
Should we think of tobacco use as a form of substance abuse?
Yes, we can think the use of tobacco as a substance abuse because even tobacco contains nicotine, which is also a substance abuse. So there is no way to separate, to say that heroin or other drugs are substance abuses and ignore smoking where it also contains that substance which can lead to to the person being abused of it.
Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you too.